Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Live Inside GWM. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Luke Huysmans, your host. This is your backstage pass to the world of GWM. Whether you're a long-time fan, a first-time viewer, or maybe part of our incredible dealer network, we know you're going to get something out of this event. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land we're on today, and I pay my respects to elders past and present. Now, while we're live, it is the perfect chance to have your questions answered by our experts. So go ahead, drop a question, or if you just want to shout out and drop a comment about anything, we're standing by, we're watching, we're listening, and we're going to get to those questions and comments a little later on in this event. Now, to add to this, you may or may not have seen on our socials that we're going to be running a little competition again tonight. So while you're watching and commenting or dropping us questions, the team at GWM are going to be picking 3 of their favourite comments or questions, and those 3 lucky people are going to walk away with a $100 fuel voucher. So definitely worth winning, especially with the rising costs of petrol these days. So get commenting or questioning, whatever you want to do, and our winners will be announced on Facebook in the coming days. Now, let's get into what's happening in the world of GWM in 2026. And to do this, let's welcome back the Head of Marketing and Communications for GWM Australia and New Zealand. It is none other than Steve Maciver. And joining us tonight is a new addition to the GWM family, Sam Mulkearns, the Head of Product Planning and Go-to-Market. I wanted to make sure I got that title correct. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. How are your summer breaks?
Mine was great, thank you. Look, it was super relaxing. I didn't get up too much, which is exactly what I planned. So yeah, it went to exactly the way I wanted it to. It was great.
You guys needed a nice calm break after the year that was last year.
It had been a big 2025, yeah.
Sam,
Absolutely.
Did you get up to anything interesting?
I had a fantastic break. It was a little nerve-wracking though, getting ready to walk into this big role, ready to sink my teeth into some GWM product. So I'm excited to be part of the crew now and get involved.
So how many weeks have you been working for GWM?
Just over 3 weeks now. So we're almost at a month, which is pretty exciting.
So the probationary period is ticking over.
That's it. He came back for week 4, which is a good sign.
That is great.
Great
Well,
sign.
Welcome to the family, mate. I'm glad you're enjoying it and you're still smiling. Hopefully that continues. So, Steve, what is 2026 looking like for GWM? Tell us about how January's already kicked off. Tell us about the sales results, because I'm sure there's lots of news there. And what has everyone got to look forward to coming down the pipeline?
Well, I think 2026 is already shaping up to be another huge year for GWM. January sales results have just come in this morning. We closed out with 4,508 new vehicle sales in Australia, which is a record January for us, by far the biggest January we've ever had.
Hopefully you're all clapping at home. That
amazing start to the
clap.
year, so thank you to everyone out there who's chosen to join the GWM family in the past few weeks. That signified a significant jump for us of, I think, 31% increase year on year, which is huge. The market's really, really tough, as we know, but to get the momentum the first month of a new year really sets the tone of what we're looking to do. And also, we achieved a 5.2% market share, which is, again, record market share for GWM, so some great momentum there. But special shout out to any of our dealers, any of our customers, any of our staff watching from Queensland, because these guys managed to pick up the 3rd position in Queensland against our number 7 nationally. So huge result for them. So the momentum's there. The plan for 2026 is more growth, and we've certainly started in the right way. But again, we don't take it for granted. We're going to have to keep working at it, but certainly a good start. That's not
a good start. That's an incredible start. Was there a standout product or a specific powertrain that was kind of driving those results?
We've had good results across the board. Leading the way again was the Jolyon, our small SUV. We sold nearly 1,800 units of that. Again, a massive result for Jolyon within context of January last year, up 39% year on year. So it just shows that the brand and the momentum gets just...
That's huge. You've got to
enormous.
Stop to smell the roses, because there are other brands out there that are struggling right now.
Look, it is important to take stock of where you're at, but again, I don't say this lightly. We do not take it for granted. It's a super competitive industry. There's a lot of other brands coming very, very aggressively strong within the marketplace too. And we've got to make sure that we get what we feel is our deserved share, but we've got to earn that with customers. We've got to earn that with our dealers. So Jolyon did a great job. Cannon Ute was again a standout performer for us with growth of about 18% year on year. H6 continues to be one of our top sellers. So across the board, really, really strong. Powertrain-wise, very pleasing to see that we finished January as the 5th best-selling hybrid brand. But more crucially, given what we're going to be talking about today, we were the 3rd best-selling plug-in hybrid brand as well.
Wow, so it's super surprising.
No,
Or were you aiming for that?
Not surprising. We're aiming for more, Luke. We're aiming for more, but we'll certainly take that right now. But there's certainly a lot we can build on. And again, we'll talk today about why we think we can do more.
I mean, that's a great way to come out of the gates for a new year. And you've also just announced last week, you announced some exciting news, which some of the people watching tonight may be aware of, some of you might not be.
We did. We have announced the newest model to join the GWM lineup in 2026. We said in last year's live streams that we'd be launching as many, if not more, new models this year than we did in 2025. And as a reminder, we launched 7 new models last year. So the first new model to join us this year is going to be the Tank 300 plug-in hybrid powered by Hi4T technology. It's going to be landing in showrooms from March with our Ultra grade first, and then our Luxe grades within a month or so from that. But an amazing car, amazing technology, and priced from just $55,990 drive away for our Luxe grade. And again, anyone who's in the market looking for something which is luxurious, rugged, supremely capable off-road, go and compare the value that we've brought to market with this car against any of our competitors. And even on a drive-away price, without even considering spec, there's a huge value advantage there, and we're very, very excited to bring this car to market.
Okay, well, let's continue that powertrain conversation, because tonight I'm very interested in what we're going to be discussing. To everyone watching at home, I am genuinely in the market for a new car right now. So I've been shopping around, I've been looking at different options, different price points, different brands. So tonight I really want to get into that discussion of a petrol engine versus a hybrid versus a plug-in hybrid, because there is a lot to choose from, and there are a lot of factors that determine what would be best for me or for you if you're in the market for a new car as well. So first question I have, just to start this off as a bit of an explainer, why do you think the market is shifting away from petrol right now?
There's some very good rational reasons why that's the case, and Sam's done some great work already as to why we think we're well positioned, and Sammy's going to take us through that shortly. But if you think about the wider context, for me there's 3 reasons. The first one being choice. OEMs like GWM are bringing in more and more plug-in hybrid and EV vehicles than ever before. So like in any market, when you've got more choice, customers will graduate towards the latest and greatest technology, and that's what we're seeing with customers now that they've got choice. But in many cases, particularly in GWM's case, it's not just about technology for technology's sake. There has to be capability attached to it as well. And the capability that we're seeing that a plug-in hybrid or a hybrid can give you, and again, Sam will talk to the details of that very shortly, with V2L, with electric range of up to 180 k's, for example, on our H6 GT plug-in, there's very strong reasons for a customer to choose a plug-in or a hybrid over a petrol car. The third reason is also around legislation. The government, as we know, has now introduced the new vehicle efficiency standard. And ultimately, look, what that's doing is incentivizing brands like GWM to bring in more fuel-efficient vehicles. And that's exactly what we're doing. Equally, it's incentivizing customers. Every car that is less fuel efficient is going to get penalties and ultimately become more expensive over time. The cars that are more fuel efficient are going to get credits, which allows them to be sold, more accessibly over time. And certainly that's where we're going. So between offerings, choice, capability, and value and legislation, there's a whole number of reasons that the industry's changing.
Okay, so when it comes to GWM, it's very clear, especially if you jump on the website and look at the current model lineup and all the different variations. With Hubble, with Tank, there are a number of EV plug-in hybrid options available. With Aura, there's just the one EV.
Yep.
What's GWM's strategy here?
GWM's had a very deliberate strategy on this for a number of years now, and we've looked very, very closely, not just at the Australian market, but globally. And again, context, GWM is a global auto manufacturer, a real car company. We're not a tech company like some of our competitors who are focusing just on EV and plug-in hybrids. We've got petrol, we've got diesel, both of which we're continuing to invest in, but we're also investing heavily in electrification, so plug-in hybrid, hybrid and EV. We're developing vehicles that we believe are fit for purpose in a number of different environments. And if you take high 4T technology is probably the best example of that. Not only have we maintained mechanical linkage between front and rear to give you the best possible off-road capability, we've then electrified that to give you that power and to give you that efficiency exactly where you need it. So for us, it's been a deliberate ploy. You also mentioned Aura. Now, there's a lot of additional good news to come in Aura this year. Some exciting new products coming our way in the not too distant future, but certainly Aura, yes, is our only EV product right now. But if you look at the market, and we study this a lot, the EV market is plateaued right now, but where the growth is really coming from is plug-in hybrid. And we believe that GWM is primed with a number of plug-in hybrid models already here right now, but quite a few more ready to add this year. So we think that's going to be the battleground for the next couple of years, and we're very, very well positioned. So a strategy that was put in place a few years ago is now beginning to pay dividends.
Okay, so if it's the battleground, why are people going to jump into a plug-in hybrid? This is the interesting topic, and Sam, this is kind of where I really want to bring you in to really talk us through petrol versus hybrid electric versus plug-in hybrid, just in real, practical, simple terms, and how each one fits different lifestyles and driving habits, and why should customers consider choosing a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid over a petrol?
There's different powertrain offerings for different customer drive cycles. As Steve touched on, GWM's strategy is to cater across all of the different customer drive cycles, but I'll specifically touch on petrol, hybrid and plug-in hybrid for this conversation. So we'll kick it off with petrol. Petrol is, look, it's great entry price. Customers can get into the brand at a very low cost, but if customers step into a petrol vehicle, then they'll also miss out on those benefits of electrified options. So they'll miss out on fuel savings, lower emissions, and some additional performance benefits. So customers that can step into a hybrid, this is ideal for customers that have start-stop drive cycles, mixed driving needs. They're going to start experiencing fuel-saving benefits immediately. So if we put them side by side, hybrid vehicles use significantly less petrol for a relatively low increase in price. If we look at hybrid to plug-in hybrid, you have the benefits of hybrid plus the additional performance benefits of plug-in hybrid vehicle and V2L capabilities.
And to talk just a little bit more about price, I want to come back to it a little bit later on too, but GWM, you've always prided yourself on that value equation. And the interesting thing I've noticed doing a little bit of quick research and jumping on various manufacturers' websites and looking at different price points, one of the great things about a GWM is that you can potentially jump into a hybrid for the same price as another manufacturer's entry-level petrol.
Absolutely. We not only do we have extremely well-specced vehicles, we have extremely well-priced vehicles. And if you look at the walk-up between petrol to hybrid, if we take Haval for example, the price jump from petrol to hybrid is only $3,000. Customers, that drive an average drive cycle throughout the year are going to see that paid off in less than 4 years. And to jump from hybrid to plug-in hybrid, they're going to see that paid off in just under 4 years as well. So when customers are looking at our brand, they're coming in on that price point and they're looking at going up the different grades. They should also look at going across the different powertrain options to maximise their savings.
Okay, so just to use myself as an example, sorry, it's not all about me, I know. I don't drive a heap. I'd probably do about 10,000 kilometres a year, and a lot of that is short trips, so I imagine I could potentially do 70% of that just in pure EV mode. Could a plug-in hybrid work for me?
Absolutely. Yeah, so like you said, you drive a little less than the average Aussie driver that does just under 15,000 Ks per year. So I imagine you do a mixture of short drive cycles, maybe some long ones on the weekend. So a plug-in hybrid could be ideal for you, because for those short trips, you're able to utilize that plus 100 kilometre EV range that we have on the Haval H6s. And you'll experience the cost saving benefits immediately. So as consumers might not necessarily know, it's much cheaper to charge a vehicle and drive on that range than it is to fill up a vehicle. So if you went from a petrol to a hybrid vehicle, for your instances, if you were doing 10,000 Ks per year, you'd save around $420 to make that jump to hybrid. But if you went from hybrid to plug-in hybrid and utilised that EV range, you could save up to $800 per year. But the benefits aren't just sitting within the cost savings. There's also, as I mentioned before, the additional performance benefits, the additional smoothness of driving, and also V2L capabilities, which is something that customers might not necessarily understand because this is a newer technology, but it has really incredible applications. The fact that you can use your car as a mobile power source to power events, camping trips, emergency occasions is pretty incredible. So if you think that, if you're thinking more than just the savings as well as the extra capabilities, I would say plug-in hybrid would be the way to go.
Look, I can probably give you another real-world example of that now. My wife's currently driving an H6 GT PHEV, and surprise, surprise, she's driving a GWM. But she is, and like her experience with that car has been, quite eye-opening for her. She was dubious, going, I'm not sure I want to go into a plug-in hybrid. I'm going to have to plug it in. And I said, look, just work with me on it. She's now been in that car 3 months, and in that 3 months has used a third of a tank of fuel. Now, her driving habits are probably quite similar to yours, Luke, in that she's driving relatively short commutes most days, with the occasional longer trip at the weekend. But she's coming home and plugging the car just into the wall socket in the garage. There's no charger there, just the wall socket. Doing that once, twice a week, and generally never having to use fuel. So again, if you're one of our lucky fuel voucher, fuel gift card winners tonight, if you're a PHEV driver with one of our Havels, that might last you even a year, $100. So you can see where we come from. Those savings are real. But again, as Sam said, the performance benefits, the real livability of getting into a plug-in hybrid, once you experience it over a petrol car, I'm not sure you'd ever go back.
Yeah, I mean, thanks. That's a very clear explanation, because I think that's the first hurdle that you've got to get people across. And even I'm guilty of it too. You look at the entry level petrol, and then it's quite a jump. It's not crazy, but it is quite a jump to go to the top PHEV. So I always thought that would take quite a while to earn back those savings, but it sounds like it's a much more expedited process.
Absolutely, and just like Steve was saying, if you're diligent, just like you plug your phone in at night, plug your car in and experience those benefits. But if you forget when you're in a plug-in hybrid, it doesn't matter. If the battery runs out, you still have that safety net of having a petrol engine, which you don't have if you drive an EV vehicle. So you really get the best of both worlds. Electric driving range with that backup, long drive and long range if you forget to top up.
What I would say on that as well, sorry, is, we've all been in that situation where you leave work or you get in the car to go to work and you realise you've got to go and get fuel.
Yeah.
And it's that...
Especially on the way home.
100%. We can all feel that. We've all been there. And I think, again, once you get used to not doing that, the thought of going back to that routine and queuing and filling up and paying and waiting and all the rest of it, you don't want to have to go back to that. It becomes a real game changer.
Excellent, excellent. So if there are people watching at home that are considering a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid for themselves, is there a way that they can calculate based on how many kilometres that they drive a year or the current cost of fuel? Is there a way that they can work out which model or variant might be best for them?
Absolutely. Yeah, look, we're working on something pretty exciting. We're looking to put a fuel savings calculator on our website where customers will be able to jump on, they'll be able to input the facts that are specific to them, how far they drive in a year, and then if they input the cost of petrol on top of that, they'll be able to get what the savings is if they go to a hybrid or a hybrid to a plug-in hybrid model. And for customers that are driving up to 20,000 Ks a year, let's assume petrol's at $1.90. You know, you can see savings of up to $1,900 a year if you step into a plug-in hybrid. But we want customers to be able to work it out specific to them. That's why we're aiming to get this on our website so they can see the results for themselves.
Again, the other piece of context that's really important there, and you touched on it earlier, Luke, is the price relativity of our hybrid technology versus that of our competitors. And again, if we take this car behind us, the brand new Haval H6, this car here, the hybrid model is cheaper than any of the top 5 competitors in the mid-sized SUV segment. Our hybrid is cheaper than their petrol. So again, we keep talking about GWM always being value, and that's a prime example of that. That's not even withstanding the additional spec and features that you get in one of these models over any of these top 5 competitors. So significant value there. So again, for anyone who's thinking mid-sized SUV, whether you're thinking plug-in hybrid or not, you'd be crazy not to at least go and have a look.
So, yeah, go for it.
I was going to say, if I could just add to that, another thing that customers can also consider, when they walk into a showroom, they come in on the entry price, they're looking at the Lux, and then they're looking at the specs of the Ultra. They should also consider, rather than going up to the Ultra, what can they save if they go across to the different powertrain? So in the Haval range, for example, it's $3,000 to go up to the Ultra or $3,000 to go across to a hybrid option. So customers should really be considering both options for them, because an Electrified could also save them money in the long run.
Keeping in mind, Sammy, that you can pay that off within 4 years, you can probably have the best of both worlds there as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic point too. And especially if you've got solar at home,
Absolutely.
you can save even more and save it quicker. Steve, is there a concern with the electrification of vehicles moving forward? Because there's constant thoughts, and I've had it too, about, you know, if I wanted to drive up the middle of Australia, like, our electric infrastructure is not there. We don't have enough charge points. How do you combat that idea of range anxiety for customers looking to dabble in electrification?
It's a good question, and I think for some people it's still real. It was certainly a big thing going back a few years ago, but I think it's the number of customers who've got an issue with that is less and less and less now. And let me tell you why. Number one, it's down to the pure EV range that you're getting from a Haval plug-in hybrid. Again, our H6 GT PHEV is the longest EV range we've got of our plug-in hybrids, up to 180 k's. So again, anyone who's looking to do any normal driving or even a sort of lengthy commute, you're only going to have to charge that vehicle once, twice a week. So you're not even going to have to think about it. Certainly for longer trips, you've got 2 options. You can either stop and use the fast charge network, which is there on a lot of the main highways linking our main cities and regions. And again, to do that, to take one of these cars from a battery charge of maybe 20 to 30% up to about 80% is only going to take you around 25 minutes. It's not going to impact your journey or your road trip too much. But even if you don't want to do that, keep in mind that your internal combustion engine is there to act as a secondary drive source when your battery power runs out. This car here is giving you a combined range of over 1,000 k's, which is going to get you from Sydney to Melbourne. With 1 full tank and 1 full charge, you're not going to have to think about refueling. So for me, the days of worrying about infrastructure, certainly public infrastructure, has lessened quite significantly. And as per the examples we said earlier on, you can still live very easily with a plug-in hybrid without having any infrastructure at home. You plug it directly into a wall socket and it does the job.
Okay, well, thanks, gentlemen. That was super helpful. Not only just to me, hopefully to all of you watching, but I'm also sure that's generated quite a lot of questions. So why don't we get straight into it and jump into the live Q&A?
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Let's do this. All right. First question. Do I need to change how I drive in regards to a hybrid? And that's from Sarah Newen. Thank you, Sarah. Great question.
I'm happy to jump in and take this one.
Go for it, Sammy.
Yeah, look, so for a hybrid, absolutely no change in driving at all. Everything happens in the background. But for a plug-in hybrid, you don't have to. So you have the option to drive on EV mode. You have the option to plug in and charge your car and maximize those EV savings. But if you don't, if you drive just like you did, your car's still going to get those fuel benefits, because whether it's hybrid or plug-in hybrid, it's going to still have savings versus the petrol model. So no real need to change your driving cycle or change how you drive the car.
Certainly
Fantastic.
with your plug-in hybrid as well, if you run out that battery charge, your internal combustion engine is going to take over. So again, you don't have to do anything. So
No range anxiety.
Indeed, indeed.
Okay, 300 PHEV release date.
We've confirmed that already. So we've said that the Ultra grades will be available in dealerships from March, with the Lux grades following about roughly 1 month later. So again, expressions of interest are open on the website right now. Pricing is there, just to reiterate, $55,990 drive away in Australia for the Lux and $59,990 for the Ultra. Keeping in mind that that is a super keen early introductory price, which isn't going to hang around forever. So if you're interested, get in and speak to your GWM dealer today.
Okay. Great question though, Danup. Thank you. Hope I got your name right. Are there certain driving habits in which a petrol H6 is still the best choice? From Jim. This one's probably for you, Sam.
Yeah, look, I think upfront price is where people get the biggest benefit for petrol models. Electrified options give you better emissions, lower emissions, better fuel economy, and better performance as well. So, look, I'd probably tend for an electrified option, but there are times where you do need petrol. So, for example, with our Tank 300 High 4T, there are times where you need ICE. For example, with our Tank 300 High 4T, we've got a plug-in hybrid where you will need that grunt from the engine for off-roading, but for most people, you get most of the benefits you get most additional benefits with an electrified option.
Okay. Luca has asked, what can you tell us about upcoming product launches this year? Great question, Luca. I always enjoy asking that one myself.
Yeah, I can fill that one. Yeah, great question, Luca. I'll tell you as much as we can, which is probably not as much as you want to hear. Again, we said we're going to have more launches this year than in 2025. So we've announced Tank 300 High 4T. We've already announced off the back of Tech Day last year that the Xiaolong Max, so the larger Jolyon would come. We're going to have seen that sort of in the coming months as well. So that's definitely on the way, a super important car for us as well, and another small to mid-sized SUV option for GWM under the HAVO badge. We've announced, of course, we're going to be having a 3-litre turbo diesel, which will make its global debut right here in Australia in the second half of the year. We haven't confirmed exactly what cars that's coming in yet. We did also confirm that we've got a couple more Aura models potentially coming this year, so the electrified portfolio will grow even more. Beyond that, there'll be at least 3 or 4 additional plug-in hybrids to come on top of that. So probably can't give any more specifics than that.
But can I press you just a little bit, because you were just in Baoding?
Correct, yes. So I was lucky enough to be in Baoding, China, which is the home of GWM, with a number of our leadership team last week as part of global meetings. And it was a fantastic week, incredibly cold, but it was incredible in terms of getting together with the regions, with senior leadership from head office. And we got a really close look at a lot of future products, a lot of stuff we're very, very excited about. Again, I can't talk specifics to it today, but even products that weren't on our radar here 3 weeks ago are now very much on our radar now to join us within the next 12 to 18 months. So the product development keeps rolling, and what is coming down the pipeline is super exciting.
Excellent.
It's good.
I know, we've got to be.
Can't give away too
I
much.
like to be
Indeed.
hopeful, but
Indeed.
you never know, and sometimes you can read between the lines. So, okay. Samir asked, do hybrids cost more to maintain?
Good question.
Look, that's a great question. In some instances, they're actually cheaper to maintain. So hybrids use regenerative braking, which reduces the wear on the brake pads. And in addition to that, because hybrid vehicles can run, depending if it's hybrid or plug-in hybrid, short distances on EV-only range, it actually reduces the engine hours of the vehicle the more you drive on electric. So your overall servicing intervals can actually stretch out because there's less wear and tear on the mechanical components of the car if you're taking advantage of that EV range.
Excellent. When it comes to regenerative braking too, you can actually tune how much you want in these cars, can't you?
Absolutely, yeah. There's different levels of braking and how much your car will kind of grab the lost energy, and that adjusts how much your car will coast versus how much it will pull energy back into the vehicle. Sorry, I'm probably confusing it a bit, muddling it up, but yeah, it basically, the level of adjustment you give to your vehicle adjusts how quickly it'll slow you down, and that all gets fed straight back into the battery.
And when I say tune, I mean that very loosely in the fact that you pick a setting through the menu. You've got like,
Yes.
I can't remember exactly what they are, but like light, medium, and strong.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, we've seen the V8 teased overseas. Any progress on bringing that to Australia from Ben Carter?
Other than every single one of us in the office telling head office that we want it here and we want it in as many products as we can, no. In all seriousness, no. I think there is opportunity for us here, but we have to look sensibly as to where it would fit in and when that could come. So we don't have any confirmation on it yet, but it's certainly something we're very, very interested to look at.
Okay. Jeron Salter, I hope I said that correctly, said, I want those models. GWM needs to add an official merchandise for their fans. And they are great.
Noted.
I actually think you can get an app to drive the Canon Alpha around.
The Canon Alpha, I believe, does come with a mobile phone app and is remote control, correct?
Great comment. Not a question, great comment. Thank you. Clint Morris has asked, are there any planned updates to the Alpha ADAS to enable more to be switched off permanently and cruise control whilst towing? Great question, Clint.
Happy to take this one. Look, that's it's good feedback. It's good feedback that we've received, and it's definitely something that is on our radar and that we're working on. I won't touch on timing just yet, but it's definitely in our sights.
I'll just add to what Sam said there, because we talk often on this live stream about the amazing support we get from our head office staff. Just last week, we had a team of, I think, Tim's behind the camera, how many? 8 engineers did we have from China last? Yeah, 12 engineers we had for the whole week over from China, working with our local product development team here in Australia, tuning our cars to the ANZ region, looking at a number of different things, towing, ADAS settings, etc., etc. That was one of the pieces of work that they were doing. So again, pleased to say that these things are all moving forward, but again, improving little by little every day. We've said it before, that's GWM's company model. And last week, those engineers were here living that day by day as well.
I might even jump in and say they're such a passionate group of engineers as well. I was lucky enough to get on the road with them and get behind the wheel, and it was great fun, but also awesome to see how much they cared about the product and how much they care about the Australian market and the conditions that we have here too.
Fantastic. Great bit of feedback as well. Really good question. Tank 300, any chance of a 0 to 100 in under 5 seconds? From Joseph. That's asking a lot.
That is asking a lot. I think, as Steve touched on, look out at the latest Tank 300 that we're just on releasing, the Tank 300 PHEV, has a power output of 300 kilowatts, which is quite significant when you look at it against the large SUV competitors. It's not quite 0 to 100 in 5 seconds like you're hoping for, but I think it's around that 6.5 second mark. And I think if you stack it up against the other large competitors, it's a really strong performer and at a significantly lower price band than some of the other ones in that category too. So pretty good performance from a car, but 0 to 5 seconds, we'll keep looking into it.
That's hot hatch territory from 10 years ago or so in a large family off-road SUV.
Yeah, this is an off-road vehicle, not a hot hatch.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly.
H6 GT PHEV 2026 release date, please. Andrew Solby. Thank you, Andrew.
Again, obviously a car that's hugely important to us. H6 and H6 GT are one of the biggest opportunities for GWM down under. Super impressive cars. We're not yet in a position to confirm exact timing for the updates to that car, but suffice to say, not too far away. But yeah, great question.
Is GWM app coming to all cars in 2026?
Again, another good question. It is work in progress, so certainly it's available in some cars coming through in many more of the new cars that we are releasing. Again, can't confirm exact rollout for every model yet. Again, if you've got a specific model you wanted to query about, you wanted to drop us a note, we'll certainly see if we can get back to you and answer that question.
John Ingham has said, loving the stream, guys. Thank you so much, John. Special shout out to you. We couldn't do this without our loyal GWM family and community tuning in, so thank you very much, John. ML Tito has asked, how well does the Haval H6 PHEV manage drivetrain refinement and brake feel in stop-start city traffic compared with hybrid rivals? What a question.
It's a great question.
Yeah, so maybe we'll break it down into two separate parts. Maybe we'll start with the stop-start traffic. Hybrid is absolutely built and designed for stop-start traffic. You know, the engine will shut off when you're in those instances where your car doesn't need to be running. And in those short trips, whether it be hybrid or plug-in hybrid, you can run those ranges on EV only. So you'll experience massive fuel savings in start-stop traffic in an electrified model versus a hybrid model. The other parts of the question, sorry, I was getting into the weeds a bit.
Brake feel?
How does it manage drivetrain refinement and brake feel?
I think brake feel is we're getting into very Rob Tribbiani territory here, and I guess I'm probably not going to be equipped to give you a great answer to that one, so I might pass, but we can come back to you perhaps in the next live stream.
Yep.
We'll perhaps cover off on that, but certainly from the stop-start sort of refinement, it's a pretty refined system. It stops pretty smoothly, relatively quiet and quick when it starts as well, so certainly compared with many of the cars I've driven, it's a pretty refined system.
Absolutely, and maybe to add to that, you know, we do have engineering on the ground in Australia where we are trying to engineer the cars to maximise their performance on Australian roads. So you'll definitely experience those benefits in our vehicles, but any further technical, we'd have to definitely go to Rob Tribbiani, our expert on that, to give you some more information.
Which is exactly why he's part of the GWM family.
That's it.
Servicing still the same or more on a PHEV from Shannon?
We might have touched on that with an earlier question, but so servicing can actually cost less on a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid vehicle because you are reducing the wear on the engine the more you maximise your electric driving range. And in addition to that, you'll also reduce the wear, not just on the engine, but on the brake pads as well through regenerative braking.
Okay. What other battery electric vehicles will you be releasing this year and beyond?
Again,
I like it. I would be doing the same thing. I'd be trying to get as much out of it.
Asking the same question 10 different ways. I love it. Other than the Jolly and Max that we've already talked about, which will come with plug-in hybrid options, not in a position here today to announce what the other ones will be, but suffice to say, we said earlier in the stream that plug-in hybrid is extremely important, we believe, for GWM and for customers in the ANZ region. And as such, you're going to be seeing a lot more plug-in hybrids and EV options from us, but I just can't confirm today exactly what they'll be.
That's fair.
Sorry.
That's fair. Steve, you spoke earlier about GWM's sales momentum. Where do you want to take this and how high do you think you can go? What's the end goal?
Depends how far away we're describing the end to be, whether that's 2030 or 2040, wherever. But look, I'm a firm believer, having been lucky enough to be here for 6 years, that there is, I wouldn't say no limit, every brand has a limit, but I think there's a huge amount of more growth to come from this brand. Product, technology, value, a growing dealer network that is just, so engaged. But we have come out and we did say, look, and everyone out there, by 2027, we're aiming to be a top 5 brand. We call that drive to top 5. To become a top 5 brand here in Australia means we're going to have to sell roughly about 75,000 vehicles in 2027. Given that we finished 2025 at just under 53,000, let's say we split the difference for 2026. So we should be seeing a number, hopefully north of 60,000 for 2026 is our plan at this stage. Again, we're going to have to push hard. We don't take that for granted, but we believe continuing that great value offering, plenty of new product, plenty of new technology. Absolutely. We think it's there, and certainly that's what we're aiming for.
Sky's the limit. Maybe time for one more. How should buyers look at resale value with new electrified vehicles in the market? That's a great question, because I know it's a talking point that often comes up with, what's it going to be worth 5 years down the track?
Absolutely. Look, I'm happy to take this one. So firstly, I think we need to look at adoption of electrified vehicles. As Steve touched on at the start of this session, we're seeing a trend where electrification is growing and ICE is shrinking. So the customer sentiment around electrified is increasing, and as a result, the perceived value is also increasing. So the adoption rates are higher. And in addition to that, with electrified vehicles, the electrified vehicles, the batteries that we make are engineered to have a very long battery life. We've got an 8-year warranty on that. So that gives people peace of mind. Even when they're entering into the second-hand market, it gives you peace of mind for these vehicles to hold their value and give you, better resale value if you're, buying and selling off in the future.
The other thing, look, don't quote me exactly on the numbers, but I've heard stories from within the company of the longevity of our batteries, and 8-year warranty on the battery shows that we're absolutely standing by that technology from the get-go. But I've heard numbers coming out, around 90% chargeability on an EV battery that's 10 years old. So the degradation, the aging of that technology is nowhere near what people were speculating it would be a few years ago. And the technology is moving very, very quickly in terms of how quickly they can charge and the length of life within these battery cells as well. So certainly from my personal perspective, I don't see it being an issue. And keep in mind that GWM's supply chain gives us access to some of the most advanced battery technology in the world. So we're pretty confident it is the technology of the future.
Okay, well, to wrap it up, I've just been sent a note here saying proof of GWM resale strength was that Cars Guide's analytics team crunched the numbers for 2024 and first place for retained value.
Canon Ute.
In the Ute market is the GWM.
Correct.
So
Correct.
that's a pretty nice little notch to hang the hat on.
Absolutely, and I think that comes down to that value play. Yes, we've got a relatively affordable sticker price, but the amount of features, the build quality, the value that's built in, the GWM care in the background with 7-year warranty, roadside assist, et cetera, that all comes into play, and I think more and more customers are seeing it. And that does come back to that sales question as well. We know that of every customer that sells a GWM in the previous year, roughly 50% of those, and we've got this through survey data, the choice they make is to immediately go back out and buy another GWM. That's towards the top of any brand within the industry. So those customers are seeing the resale value, they're seeing the ownership value, and they're saying, I want to go back in and do that again. So it proves that we've got that mix right. Can we always look to improve it? Yes, and that's that, again, back to improving little by little every day.
Well, that seems like the perfect point to end this chat on. Guys, thank you so much for your time tonight. Sam, great first live event. Well done, knocked it out of the park.
Thanks very much, guys.
I'm sure everyone at home enjoyed watching it, and I'm glad you enjoyed being a part of it, still smiling. So if we didn't get to your question live tonight, apologies. Don't worry, keep dropping your questions and comments in the comments sections, and someone from the GWM team will be jumping in there and getting back to you as soon as they can. Also, the 3 comments or questions that win the fuel voucher, you guys will be announced on GWM's Facebook page in the coming days, so stay tuned. And if you're keen to learn more about any of the vehicles we've discussed tonight, head on over to gwmanz.com to explore the whole GWM range and book yourself a test drive. And as always, thank you so much for joining us tonight. No matter where you're tuning in from, here in Australia, New Zealand, somewhere around the world, thank you so much. We love doing these every month, and we're going to be doing them every month for the foreseeable future, so thank you. Keep an eye on the website and the social channels for all the latest news and details on the next live event. And until then, drive safely, and we'll see you next month.